Welcome,
Welcome.
Housewives of True Crime Monday time. But not
I know.
really. 'cause it's
Countdown to the end of
Thursday.
school.
Girl, okay.
Almost summer, Memorial Day.
Summer, right. All of that. Is that this? Okay, so it's 1 week before the actual Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time this airs, I will have one graduation done. So, it's kind of weird. It's wonky, right? Like all these graduations. So where we live, you have a graduation for 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
6th grade, 4th grade, and 12th grade, right? So,
but yeah, you guys are extra. That's extra.
I know, it's
sorry.
so extra.
I think the little preschool graduation is kind of cute, right? Because it's just like pictures. And then high school. That's how many graduations I think you should have.
Well, so
then college. That's
I have
it.
a 4th
I'm not
grader.
with the 5th grade. You didn't do
I
shit.
know.
You don't even have to pass a class.
I know. So I have a 4th grader, a 6th grader, and an 8th grader, you guys. So I have all three are having graduations one from elementary school, one from middle school, or two from elementary school because my one son goes to a private school where elementary goes to 6th grade. The other one goes till 4th grade. And then I have my daughter graduating from middle school. But the fun thing about Kyla is I just got an email today that she gets something extra because she broke the school record for pole vaulting. And so they're throwing her like a whole thing where she gets like to take the plaque off of like the school record and then put her own name up there. So kind of exciting.
Okay, well, that is actually cool. But cap and gown situation for graduating from 8th grade.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't do that. They don't do that. It's just kind of like I guess I don't even think they're called a graduation. It's called like a promotion. So.
Okay. A promotion.
Yeah, they don't do the cap and gown stuff. But I do think the cap and gown for preschool would be cute. None of my kids ever did that.
It is cute. Yeah. For them, it's cute. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we have going on. And then I decided to throw the parties. So this whole entire week,
how smart of you. That's what you need to do.
Real stupid.
Is add more to your plate. That's real stupid.
I know.
I could kill you. Yeah.
I know. All she's thinking right now, you guys, is taxes.
I'm thinking we have CrimeCon. We have like so many things to do.
Oh my God.
Emails
you're so
to return,
right.
Stuff
By
to
the
do.
way,
Yeah,
oh my God, you're so right. You're so right. But I am getting these hats made for CrimeCon that are so damn cute. So if you're going to CrimeCon, which you really should, you can get last minute tickets, no problem. Go to Nashville. It's the last weekend in May. We are going to have some good swag this time, like really good stuff. So
we really are. It's a hell of a way to kick off your summer. Crime conscious
somebody was
in Nashville. Live music.
Oh my God, so good.
Hot chicken. Get it.
I thought you were just going to say hot chicks.
No.
I was like, okay, Gretchen, hot chicks and
that too. Okay.
Yeah, you're looking at them if you're watching on YouTube.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, somebody gave me a comment. I don't know how to take this, but they said Tabitha's the biggest one-upper ever. What does that mean, Gretchen? Do I one-up you all the time?
Yeah. I concur.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think we both have a tendency to do that, though. In fairness, commenter, you'll be like, I am sick, and you'll be like, no, girl, I am so much sicker than you. but I don't think it's just you. I think we both do that.
Oh my gosh.
So it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So I'm gonna apologize to you, Gretchen. For doing that to you.
I'm gonna accept it.
Okay.
You want to hear my crime?
Yeah,
let's
girl.
Get into it today.
Let's just get into it.
Okay. Today's case is a listener suggestion from Gladys Guerrero. Thank you, Gladys.
Gladys. I haven't heard that name in a long time, but my babysitter growing up, her name was Gladys, and I think it's such a pretty name.
It was my great grandmother's name, and so when I had chickens, back in the day. I want chickens again in my future. I'm going to manifest that. I named one of them Gladys because I think chickens all need, old lady names.
Yes.
But I'm sure Gladys isn't an old lady. No, I'm not saying that, Gladys. I'm walking that back right now.
And if she is an old lady, we love old ladies.
Then I'm sure she's the disco biscuit of old ladies.
100%.
Right?
There was a girl that Kyla was playing basketball with the other day, and her name was Helen. And I was like, oh, also a chicken name.
Also a chicken name, yeah.
But also a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Weird.
Good. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it all starts when two smarty pants met in Missouri. My crime, that is, I'm talking about Tim and Larissa. Tim and Larissa met while working at the same nursing home while they were both pursuing higher education. Tim was pursuing his RN and Larissa was in graduate school for biochemistry. Smart stuff. Yeah. After college, they both gained employment in their fields. They married in 1982 and welcomed a daughter in 1985. In 1989, the family headed out west to Fresno, California, which is in California is central and inland. Yes. Okay. So, Fresno is not known for being like the sexiest part of the Golden State, but where Tim and Larissa lived in Clovis is really pretty baller.
Okay, so my aunt lives in Clovis, and it is the fancy part of Fresno.
Okay, interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, they had the baller Clovis lifestyle on account of Larissa's biochem job at Pan Agricultural Labs.
Yes, I don't know what they pay. I was going to say there's a lot of ag up in
agriculture,
Fresno,
out there.
Farmers, all that.
I don't know what they paid for their house back in the day, but it was 4,000 square feet in a nice neighborhood with good schools.
Nice and big.
Current market value is around $1 million. So,
what?
Yeah. So, I mean, they were
for the Fresno
doing it.
Area?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, Larissa was the one bringing home most of the bacon with her, lab job, but Tim certainly contributed it as well. He worked as a hospital administrator. A year after they made the move to Clovis, they welcomed another child, a boy. The family seemed to be doing life well. They went to church. Tim belonged to the lodge. And professionally, Larissa killed it. Larissa had so many biochemistry skills. After a few years, she decided to open up her very own lab. Owning your own business is a situation. And so it's understandable that Larissa worked longer, less flexible hours than Tim. So Tim sort of took on the Mr. Mom kind of role, taking on more responsibilities around the house with the children. Tim was what I like to call, a go along to get along kind of guy. I see these go along to get along husbands in the wild sometimes. The type that, say like, what's next on the honey-do list? And they know the names of their children's teachers. And they fold clothes and shit like that.
Okay, so my friend Liz, she gives her husband a honey-do list. And he takes it and does it. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot, I think it's pretty unusual, right?
I don't know. I mean, because our husbands don't do it, I think that's why we think it's unusual, but maybe it's not unusual. I think I have another friend that has the honey-do list and he does it too.
Okay, don't hate me, Liz. I mean, I think in theory it sounds great. But I mean, don't tell Fred. I think it's probably hotter that he isn't so go with the flow. You know what I mean? I like a run for my money,
that goes back to childhood trauma, all this shit where we have this thing where we like to, really work really hard and get torn down and then work really hard and
totally. Yeah.
Right. That's why we chose those bad boys for the longest times. Where we were like, we can work with this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I like to get my way. I just I like a little feistiness in between.
I know. I know.
Okay, well, Larissa, she was drawn to the go along to get along vibe because Larissa was known as being a real bossy pants. Okay. Her way or the highway type of lady. So you would think having an agreeable partner in Tim would be like the yin to her yang, peas and carrots, marital bliss, etc. No, it wasn't. You know why? Because it's not hot. That's what I'm saying. It's not hot to have someone just do everything you say all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, male to female, female to male, right? The arrangement they had with the kind of, conventional role reversal didn't really work for the Schusters, though I'm sure it works for a lot of people. The problem with the Schusters was Larissa really emasculated Tim with her belittling and demanding tone, according to friends.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Tone is huge.
It's definitely more than what you say.
It is. It really is. Okay, so this really came to my attention recently, how important it is to me, because my school crossing guard went on a cruise. Okay, and they had some substitute crossing guards for Miss Sally. I usually would use somebody else's name, but Miss Sally is so good that I can't change her name. That's her real name. Okay. So Miss Sally, let me tell you where she's the coolest. Okay. She wears a visor and culottes and she does not fuck around. She commands the crosswalk. If you so much as get a toe close to the curb, she's going to have your ass back up. But she's going to tell you with the perfect balance of kind and firm. She also tells you to look both ways every time while she's holding the stop sign and there are no cars in sight. I mean, you're going to look both ways for her, right?
Listen, I like that because I feel like my kids still don't even know that.
Yes. Okay. Well, it could be construed as extra, but it's all good because she has a nice, direct tone. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, she was gone and we had a couple of subs that were like, wait, okay, you can cross now.
Wow.
And I felt violated by their tone. I did not appreciate it at all. I wanted to say to them in those moments, like, excuse me, who the fuck are you? And where is Miss Sally?
Yeah.
But I couldn't because of the children, because I like to present as sane. But my point is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
Okay.
And you're saying she was
says it well.
Not telling
her
husband.
Gives good direction. Yes. And
no, Sally was, but this Larissa was
not right.
doing that. She was like, put your toe back, get to the other side.
Yeah.
I don't care if you look both ways.
Right. Yeah. Belittling.
Yeah, I don't like
right.
that.
Like you're stupid because you attempted to cross a little too soon or, whatever the situation is.
Right.
Okay. Tim wasn't the only one that did not care for Larissa's tone in the household. Neither did her teenage daughter. And unlike her go along to get along dad, she talked back, as teenage girls tend to do. Well, that was not working for Larissa, and the fights between Larissa and daughter Kristen became a huge point of contention in the house. Sounds like pretty typical teenage disputes, missing curfew, talking to boys, etc. Larissa didn't cope with the struggle of raising a spirited teenager and decided to exert her alpha Karen and send Kristen to live with family in Missouri. This caused a lot of resentment between Tim and Larissa because Tim actually wanted to raise his own daughter, like the nerve. Mm-hmm. The resentment over Larissa sending Kristen to live in Missouri was not the only problem in the Schuster marriage. According to Larissa, Tim was not bringing the sexy back. He was impotent, according to Larissa. And that is not something she had a problem sharing with people.
That's embarrassing.
Now, I know. Listen, I don't know how impotence works. But I'm thinking maybe Tim just didn't want to bang Larissa lucky. Because she was an emasculating biatch, right?
It could be true. I mean, She find him on Ashley Madison later? Because if so, then you're right.
Then you would know. No, I think Tim he's not the cheating type.
No.
Okay. Even with her emasculation, insults, poor tone.
You would think, we've seen it with our very own eyes, people that are not the cheating type that are cheating.
Well, that's true. But I think if I had to bang her, I might be like, sorry, my junk don't work too. Try a nicer tone. Okay. So, seeing as how the Schusters had not been experiencing marital bliss for the better part of 2 decades, in February of 2002, Larissa filed for the big D, as you call it, divorce.
Okay. And you're not meaning Dallas or Dick.
I'm not meaning Dallas. I mean divorce. Yeah.
Are you sure their name is not the Schusters?
It could be Schuster. It could be Schuster.
I never heard that last name, Schuster, so I feel like it's Schuster. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it SCHU?
SCHUSTER.
Schuster.
Yeah.
Maybe Schuster. Okay. Anywho.
Okay. So Larissa files for divorce. Ironically, although she filed, she really didn't want Tim to move out initially. So Larissa and Tim agreed to live on separate floors in the same home. I mean, I think that's like doable when you have 4,000 square feet, possibly.
And they're not even banging anyway, so who cares?
Right. Yeah. The wall sharing situation, living situation was on account of, while Larissa was definitely ready for the marriage to be over, she was not ready for the division of assets that comes with that. She really did not feel that any part of her business, which was valued at around $1 million, belonged to Tim or the house. And she wasn't keen on sharing custody of the son either. Well, Tim felt this was pretty unreasonable, and he grew a pair and told her so. And he got a lawyer, and Larissa did not like that. She didn't take it well when people stood up to her. Larissa wanted to divorce Tim and still control him, which, it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think although he had begun to stand up for himself, he was still maybe passive aggressive, conflict avoiding, because he didn't move out until she was away visiting her parents in Missouri. That's when Tim took it upon himself to move into a condo. When Larissa came home from her trip and found that Tim had bounced, she blew a gasket, or a basket, I should say, because besides taking his clothes, Tim also took some housewares, which included some baskets and mixing bowls. Larissa left Tim a message about how mad she was about the nerve of him to take anything with him from the house, like the mixing bowls and the baskets specifically. But I am like, Larissa, girl, it's called community property. He left most of the valuable items, like the electronics and the furniture, like you cleaned up in the big picture. Just take yourself down to Home Goods, right? Get some new baskets and bowls. Well, she was really attached to those baskets and bowls and was real determined to get them back. She had an employee, someone who ran errands for her and took care of her son periodically, assist her in getting her shit back. His name was James Fagone. He was a nice-looking young man who made good grades and did not have a record of getting into trouble. For whatever reason, this young man felt compelled to do whatever Larissa asked him to do, even if it was not in his job description and illegal, like breaking and entering.
Oh, she sent him to go to the house to break in to get the baskets and bowls back.
Yeah. And let me tell you the craziest part. They weren't even banging. Nope. That's always where this part goes, right?
Oh my gosh.
Controlling older lady gets the young stud.
And he was what, making $15 an hour?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Who knows? I mean, well, $15 an hour would have been a lot because this is back in 2002.
Oh, so he's probably making like 10 or less.
10. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Larissa and James, not even banging, which is pretty bananas because James really had a bright future ahead of him before Larissa managed to tangle him up in her shady web. Mm-hmm. As you know, I was telling you, she really wanted those bowls and baskets back. And so she had James break into Tim's new crib and retrieve them. Then she had another employee from her lab get a storage unit in their name so that she could hide those baskets and bowls. Seriously, like one trip to Home Goods. Okay. When Tim came home and found his home had been ransacked and the intruders had, jacked the baskets and bowls, he knew this was the work of Larissa, clearly, right? But he never reported it, which I sort of get because, he thought, well, maybe she's got her shit. It's probably over. And calling the cops might escalate things. And even if he did, like, what's he going to say? I've been burglarized and my TV, computer, and cash are still here, but the thief took my most valuable mixing bowls.
Yeah.
Like, no, and you don't want to do that,
he was
right?
married to her. So he's like, come on. You're not going to.
Yeah.
You're just going to think she's a little bit cuckoo bananas.
Par for the course, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of reporting the theft, he moved to a home where he felt more secure and he bought a gun. According to Tim's friends, the more time Tim spent living away from Larissa, the more Tim started feeling himself. He developed a backbone and decided that he deserved his fair share when it came to the divorce settlement and custody, and he was not going to be intimidated by Larissa anymore. Larissa did not commit any more breaking and entering, but she did leave a whole lot of nasty messages for Tim on his answering machine, and she keyed his car.
Oh, yeah. And she keyed his car.
Mm-hmm.
That's
mature.
Very mature.
Is that the word you're looking for?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I mean, I can't even believe people really do that, but they do.
Right? They do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't bring myself to use the exact word she called Tim repeatedly, but it rhymes with baguette. Okay.
Okay.
So I quote this from one of her messages. So just so you get the gist of Larissa's ugly bitterness, I quote, "You baguette. You couldn't even fuck a dog, you impotent baguette."
Oh my God. Okay.
That's no way to consciously uncouple. That's hostile.
Oh
okay.
Consciously uncouple.
Okay.
Listen, if I'm ever uncoupling, it's not going to be conscious either.
No matter if you were uncoupling, still would never use that word. That's terrible.
I never use that word ever. So I don't know.
No. Okay. So you know how when things are like tense when custody exchanges go down, they have like some neutral territory, to do the exchange.
I know.
Sometimes it's like even the police station. Well, for Larissa and Tim, it was frequently at her nail salon where she had a standing appointment on Thursdays. Larissa confided in her manicurist like I do the checker at Trader Joe's, but extra. Okay. She told her all about how much she hated Tim and wished he was dead. She also told her, I can make things happen, just like I did the robbery. Okay. The manicurist didn't actually think Larissa was going to put a hit out on Tim. Breaking into his house to get mixing bowls is nuts, but it doesn't scream, cold-blooded murderer exactly. Mm-hmm. Even if she was saying, she thought he should die. Plus, I imagine this manicurist is desensitized to this kind of chatter because she probably listened to unreasonable bitches all day
all the
long.
time. It's like hairstylists, they know all your shit.
Well, I think with manicurists even more so. I have a theory because I think that this particular type of crazy likes to get their claws did. Okay, I think that those type of crazies like to get their claws did. Think about it. The most crazy bitches you associate with. Do they have claws? I'm not talking like a little gel manicure or a sporty acrylic. I mean like medium to long claw.
The long?
Mm-hmm. In my life, a lot of the like claw carrying types eat Cocoa Puffs. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Okay.
Also, side note, Larissa also confided in her friends and the manicurist that violating Tim's home gave her better than an orgasm, like was better than an orgasm from sex.
Okay.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, that's
I don't even know what to do with that. Okay.
No.
Okay. But I have to tell you, it's my duty to the people. Okay. Well, one day at Larissa's standing appointment where Tim usually picked up their son, he didn't show up for the exchange. This was unusual. Tim is a punctual and dependable guy, but the manicurist let it go and thought at the time, well, maybe things are just finally going Larissa's way and she got more custody of her son, who I'm sure is like stoked to be getting more time with his mom so he can sit through like regular nail appointments. I mean, I can't even imagine. This was 2002, like pre-tablet. What do people do with their children when they got manicures? They must have been bored to tears.
Legos? I don't know.
I guess, right? Well, there was actually another appointment that day that Tim didn't show up for that did leave some people real concerned for him. Tim had made a date with a coworker and her husband. They were always friendly, but the reason they were meeting this day was because Tim and his coworker had both been laid off from their jobs at the hospital. They were going to meet so Tim could relay everything he was told from the HR department about severance and stuff like that before the coworker went in for her HR meeting. Mm-hmm. When Tim was a no-show, the friends thought that is so unlike him. But when the coworker learned that he hadn't showed up for his HR meeting either that morning, she feared the worst.
Yeah,
she feared like suicide. Because think about it, he'd just been laid off. He's going through this awful divorce, Right. So they called Tim's friend Vic, who went over to Tim's house immediately to check on him. He was able to get in the house through a side door and found no sign of Tim, but his cell phone, wallet, and keys were there, which was kind of even more concerning.
Yeah.
So the police were called to report Tim missing. Police wanted to talk to anyone that had been in contact with Tim, and they knew Larissa had made a phone call to Tim the night before at 2 a.m. because it was on her caller ID or his caller ID.
And why at 2 a.m.? That seems a very strange time.
Well, that's what they were thinking. That's why they wanted to chat with her. So they asked Larissa to come on down to the station, and they asked her what she knew and thought about Tim being, missing in action. And she said she had no idea where he was and that things were so difficult between them that she goes weeks without saying a word to him. Well, they were like, that's funny because you were on his caller ID at 2 a.m. Larissa told them, oh, yeah, she forgot about that. She butt dialed Tim that night. She just somehow rolled onto the phone and it called Tim because he was on her speed dial. When they asked to see her phone, she said, oops, I left it at home. And then she mentioned that Tim was impotent, that she was on the church choir, and she apologized for being extra chatty because she was taking a lot of Vicodin. So, everything Larissa is spewing was not like jiving with the investigators. So one of them decided to take a trip out to the parking lot. Since there weren't very many vehicles, it wasn't hard to guess which one was likely Larissa's. And guess what? There was a cell phone on the seat. So he called Larissa's number from Tim's caller ID, and the phone rang.
Started ringing.
Yeah. And so he went back to the interview room and told Larissa, "Good news, girl. You did not leave your cell phone at home. So now we can go and take a look." They did the look, and in fact, Tim was not a speed dial number on the phone. Larissa was then forced to backpedal the phone call thing, but swore that she didn't know anything about Tim's whereabouts. And so police were very sus of her, but they didn't have enough to hold her, so she was free to go. But she left knowing that her police interview was not looking good for her. She told her friend about it, who was like, "Shit, girl, everybody knows you are not a fan of Tim, and lying to the police about your phone when he's missing is going to make you the number one suspect.
You look real bad, girl."
Yeah, real bad. Just wait. I'll bet the next thing they do is search your house. Larissa was like, "That's silly. They can't do that. I have a vacation planned and I'm leaving on Sunday. They wouldn't inconvenience me like that."
Even better, Larissa.
Right?
You're not there. They could go through everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, then Larissa thought for a minute and said to her friend, like, "Actually, could you just stay with the boy for a little while? I've got to go pay some bills at the lab on a Saturday, okay?"
Mm-hmm.
Her friend agreed to stay with her son, but after a couple hours, she called and said she had to go. She ain't got all day.
"Where are you, girl?"
Yeah. So Larissa said, "Well, that's fine. You can leave the boy alone." She would be there soon, but she still had to tie up some loose ends. Larissa did, by the way, actually go to the lab while her friend stayed with her son, but she left the lab after she asked the same trusty employee who had rented a storage locker for her in their name to rent a U-Haul truck with a lift gate for her in her name as well. She said she had something heavy that needed moving before she went on her upcoming trip, which was scheduled the following day. Larissa did make it on her trip. And while she was traveling, police continued to contact everyone in Tim's contacts. Of course, they got an earful from anyone that was close to Tim about how volatile Larissa was and the bizarre, break-in situation with the bowls and shit the year prior.
Right.
They came across the name James Fagone and asked him about his relationship with Larissa and if he knew anything about breaking in. James confessed that he had assisted Larissa in getting her dumb shit, but he didn't know anything about where Tim is now, and so they let him go. So the investigators know Larissa is hiding something, but they didn't have enough information to piece it together until Larissa's friend, who she had left to watch her son while she, quote, paid bills, and her employee who rented the U-Haul and storage unit decided that they needed to tell the police that Larissa had been acting shady. Okay, let me tell you what I think about these people who don't wait to even be interviewed by police. They just go into the police station on their own. Good on them. Probably actually real smart. But it also brings me back to Miss Sally. Because if that lady asked me to rent a U-Haul for her, I would do it. No questions asked, right? And if the police started sniffing around, I would stay quiet until they came to me. Okay? But I do not feel that way about any number of other, school employees, right?
So what you're saying is if Larissa had a better attitude, she could have gotten this covered up a little bit more.
If she used a nicer tone with her friends and employees, I think they would have been cool with her, like I'm cool with Miss Sally, and they wouldn't have rushed to go to the police.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
All right. So the moral of the story is, listen, don't be an asshole ever. But if you are going to be an asshole, especially don't be an asshole when you're up to no good.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So with this secret storage unit, now they know about the U-Haul and the storage unit, okay?
Yeah.
Information in hand, police decide to visit the unit, of course. They are like, let's go get those mixing bowls.
I want to know what's going on in the U-Haul.
Oh, right. Yeah. So they want to get those mixing bowls back so they can return them to Tim, in the very least, right? Assuming Tim is somewhere all good. But when they arrived, before they even opened the unit, they were knocked out by the smell.
Oh, no.
By the way, they did find the mixing bowls and the baskets. Okay. But the smell was so bad, they had to get hazmat masks to breathe and locate the source of the stench. They found it in the corner of the unit in a barrel.
They found
Tim. Yeah. Larissa had been using her biochemistry skills for fucking evil. When police removed the lid, they found Tim half dissolved in hydrochloric acid.
Oh my God. What did she use the U-Haul for? The bin of, oh my gosh. Girl, she should have used the bin or the U-Haul to transport Tim out to BFE in the middle of like the 5 freeway where nobody is.
Yeah.
Or even that cow farm. I mean, like somewhere, but
yeah, it's bad.
She's awful
it's
human.
No, it's good. Yeah, no, it's bad.
That is so disturbing and sad.
It really is. The remains were taken to the coroner. So Larissa had some splaining to do, but she was in Florida at the moment. So while they figured out, where to apprehend her, they brought back in her pal James again, since the whole body in the barrel of acid was likely a 2-person job. And he'd already confessed to lending Larissa a hand in the past with her dirty work. And they were right. He lent Larissa a hand in this case too.
James. Seriously?
Yeah. James
How old
spilled
is James?
I think he was 19.
Yeah.
I'm not 100 on that. Yeah.
Oh, it's like you're not
good looking kid.
The frontal lobe is just not
there. Oh, listen, you're going to die. James spilled his guts to investigators. No lawyer. No. No. According to
no
James,
lawyer, no
lawyer,
no plea deal.
He just told it.
James, fuck. Where is James's parents when you need them?
Yeah, I know. Okay, so according to James, Larissa approached him and said she would pay him $2,000 to do more than rob Tim this time. This time, she wanted to scare Tim a little. She asked James to purchase a stun gun. He said that night, Larissa called Tim and got him to come to the door without the gun he had purchased to protect himself from her because she told him on the phone their son was sick.
At 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m., yeah. When he opened the door, that's when they stunned him and then used chloroform on him to knock him out.
Oh my God. James is actually like a murderer. He didn't just help her put the body into the barrel.
Well, yes, I think let's reserve your judgment. But yeah. Okay. So then they zip tied him and loaded him into James's truck and took him over to Larissa's house where she had the barrel. They put Tim in
alive
and began dumping acid on him. So gnarly.
She is the worst human ever.
Ever, ever, ever. It was so gross. I'm not going to get into it. I mean, I think that's enough, right? James says that Larissa did all the acid dumping and he had no idea that the plan was to kill Tim. He says that...
What did he think was going to happen?
Well, he says that when she asked him to rent a U-Haul, he refused because he didn't want to get dragged into this any further. I mean, I'm thinking for $2,000, he's not thinking that they're going to kill Tim.
When they dumped his head in the acid.
I mean, I don't think you go from just like breaking in and taking some mixing bowls to committing maybe the most horrific type of murder we've ever covered. And, you know, he doesn't have all that frontal lobe stuff.
You're telling me.
Okay. So what he says happened after that, he refused to get the U-Haul because he didn't want to get dragged in he didn't want to continue to be a part of this. But then after Larissa was questioned by the police initially, she called him and asked him to help her move the barrel to the lab, where he obliged and says that at the lab, she dumped more acid onto him. And then she called on him again after her friend made the comment about the search warrants. You know, she got spooked. And so he helped her again get the barrel to the storage facility with the U-Haul.
Oh my God.
Yeah. In an effort to corroborate James's story, they asked about, you know, where did Larissa dump the empty bottles of acid and the stun gun? Well, they found the empty bottles in the trash where James told them they would be. And as if finding a body in a barrel wasn't bad enough, James told them he dumped the stun gun in a porta potty. And the police went to the location of said porta potty and retrieved it.
Gross. That's so gross.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay. I think James naively thought that since he had not signed up for murder and hadn't poured the acid, he would not be in nearly as much trouble as But he was wrong.
Dude.
He was arrested. Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
He is a murderer also.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think he got roped into it.
Well, 100% he got roped into it, but dude should have gone home and been like, my boss just did this and I got to call the police.
Yeah.
And maybe he should have told his parents first so his parents could call
maybe not stun him in the first place. I mean, what is the point of like stunning him? That's bad.
All of it. It's so...
All of it is bad. Okay, so he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. So while he's being arrested, part of Larissa's trip was to fly from Florida to Missouri for a family visit. And when she got off the plane in Missouri, she was also arrested for murder in the first as well. Her poor son was with her. Larissa was transported back to California. She lawyered up. You know, as for James, he'd already done so much talking before lawyering. It might have worked out for him because of the corroborated evidence and just the whole vibe he gave the prosecutors. They believed his story and they wanted to negotiate a plea deal for him in exchange for his testimony against Larissa.
Yeah.
But God only knows why he refused a deal and went to trial.
Stop it. What an idiot.
He was found guilty of murder with the special circumstance of during a robbery, which meant he could only be sentenced to life without parole or death.
What a dummy.
He got life without parole.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What at Larissa's a waste trial, of a life.
Totally.
What a waste.
At Larissa's trial, she tried to pin it all on James doing it all on his own because he wanted to protect her or something. I mean, they weren't even banging. Who's going to believe that, right? She's so diabolical. She took the stand. You know, that's is crazy.
Yeah. I can see her doing that because she is that person.
She is that person. She pretty much had an excuse for everything. It was tricky though, because the judge ruled that they could not use James's confession at the trial. And James refused to testify. I'm guessing because he got so rat fucked, you know? So painting the narrative of the events to a jury was a challenge.
I would have been like, sign me up still because this bitch is not getting less than me.
I don't know what James is thinking at all. I am with you. I think I would have thought the same thing. Yeah, I tried really hard to see if they were banging.
I think they were. I think it's just not in the news. There's just no way.
I don't think so.
She must have been doing something.
I don't know.
Is she cute?
No. Sorry.
And he's cute. Oh my God. Okay.
So what was working for prosecutors was that the amount of acid she had purchased for the lab was like beyond unnecessary, as well as the acid-proof barrel, right? Also, she Googled like acid and decaying animal tissue, right? So it's looking like, you know, she had to have done it, and it was premeditated to boot. They also played all the messages that Tim had saved, which really showed Larissa's ugly true colors. Also, because in my opinion, she did not go through life with a kind tone, everyone, including her manicurist, testified against her regarding her disdain for Tim and her threats to make him go away. So thankfully, the jury found her guilty. Her daughter spoke at her sentencing and said she hopes that the rest of her life and afterlife is filled with as much pain as she inflicted on her father, which I think is fair.
Sad. Yeah.
She is currently at the California Women's Facility in Corona. Not too far from me.
No.
Larissa is 63 years old. James is 42 at Avenal Prison, which has various levels of security. I mean, it's better than San Quentin, right?
Yeah.
But they both appealed a lot and have not had any success.
No, I just looked him up and I looked her up. Not cute.
I wish the son and the daughter, you know, well, that is a whole lot to overcome.
It is a lot to overcome. I wonder if they're still in the
I think Fresno they're both area. In Missouri. No, because remember the daughter was already living in Missouri.
Right.
And she was arrested in Missouri. And so I'm sure the son went to the grandparents. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then they stayed there.
Okay.
Why would you go back to Clovis?
No. Yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Wow. Sad story, man. Very sad, because basically these kids have no parents anymore. And you have one parent that you don't want to have. You can't even imagine your parent doing that to another parent. So sad.
Oh.
Evil in her heart. Okay, so thank you for that story, Gretchy Poo. If you guys haven't checked out 5 Crimes, that's our beauty products. They are the best. I promise you, you will get them and you will enjoy them. And all of you that have purchased and are sending us messages about how much you love them, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. And we do appreciate hearing your feedback. And we are thankful for you. If you want us more, we are on Patreon on Thursdays. So go to patreon.com/Housewives of True Crime. Or if you listen on Apple, you can just go to Clink Clink Club. And again, we will be at CrimeCon. You can use, I think Housewives is the code when you check out on crimecon.com for your tickets. If it's not Housewives, it's Clink, but I think it's Housewives. And is there anything else? Anything that you need to wrap the show up with besides a little bow of yourself?
No, I think that's a wop.
Okay. Oh, we haven't said that in a whole long time. Yeah. Okay. That's a wop, guys. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.